Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Big Things Kentucky. We are just now live. I'm waiting on my man, Coach Bew, to join me. Up first, we will be having Coach Dennis Johnson, who will be joining us shortly as we get ready to talk about preview the Woodford County, Scott County, and we have a tape interview from Coach Ricky Bolin of Great Crossings High School. So sit back, enjoy, and we may have a special guest join us later on. So far this week, I got a chance to get out and check out Scott County. Coach McKee has a great program. They're doing good. Got a chance to check out Great Crossings. Well, I haven't checked out Great Crossings yet. I talked to the coach. And Coach Johnson in Woodford County. And I mean, everything looks good so far. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go. Also, be sure to check us out every Sunday. We will be streaming the 7:30 game for the Lexington Dirt Bowl. We do that every Sunday live as we get ready for this upcoming high school season. Friday, we'll have scrimmages that'll be taking place. We have some of the scrimmages. We'll talk about that a little later just to get everybody ready for that. Coach Bew's joining me. What's up, Coach?
What's going on, man? I'm sorry I couldn't get to my iPad.
Hey, you are all good, Coach. Like I said, things is good. We are chilling right now. I'm waiting on Coach Johnson to log in. And I was just telling him we'll have a special guest here. Coach Dennis Johnson joining us right now. Bring him on in, Coach Bew.
All right.
All right, Coach Johnson.
What's happening?
What's going on, man? We know you en route to practice, so we ain't gonna hold you up. We want to appreciate you for joining us, man. Got a chance to check you out yesterday, man. Look like the wheels still turning in Woodford, Coach. We looking good, Coach.
No, man, we excited to get back at it, man. It's a good off season, a good spring, and so the kids are excited. We got a little buzz in the community after the year we had last year. But I just told the guys, man, I said it's different. It's a different year, so we got to come with a different mentality. People are going to come after us, and we got to be ready to play.
You got another source open and cut the volume down. Somebody cut your volume down.
I don't have nothing open.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, Coach, man, let me ask you a question. First of all, I got to ask, where's my toboggan at, Coach? I seen you at the Henry Clay basketball game. You and Jerron Brown said, hey, we got your hat. This and dinner. Coach, I'm still waiting on my hat, Coach.
No, I got you. I got something at the house, man. Next time I see you, we need to link up in Lexington. I promise I got you.
Say no more. So, man, let me ask you this. You got Preston Stacy coming back. I think he took one of the extra years. Right. Probably one of the, if not the best running back in the state of Kentucky, right there in your town, man. How big is that, and what kind of year you're expecting out of him?
No, I expect Preston to have a great year. He's had a really good offseason. I think he's matured. That was the word I would say. He's matured, and he sees the whole big picture now. When he knows the offense, he's become a great leader. Like I said, he's not getting a lot of respect. I think they had him 10 for 11 in the state as a running back, and he didn't like that. But I said, man, you don't have to do all that. We'll just go out there and show him. And so he's excited to get going. I got to kind of hold him back some in practice. I was like, I want to get him to the show. You know what I'm saying? But
yes, sir.
He's running, ready to go, and you'll see him playing a lot of defense this year. He should have played the last few years, but he's been our main ball carrier. But this year, man, we're going to unleash him on defense. So if we look to him to be an impact on defense, last year toward the end of the season, he probably had 4 or 5 sacks in the last 3 or 4 games. So look at him to be a outside linebacker and on third line rush the passer in our Jet series.
Now, looking back at last year, Coach, we had an amazing run great season.
Who's
I mean,
we?
man. But that last game, man, I mean, it was just like two of the flukest plays just kind of set us back. What happened, Coach?
Well, I'll say this, man. We've never been in that situation before. South Warren is a phenomenal team. I'm always going to take my. I mean, Coach Smith. I know Chuck. We played against him and Brandon. They did a heck of a job, and they came in and brought it to us. You know, first play of the game, we fumble in the end zone for a safety, then we kick off, and they go 80. And so I think the moment was too big for us, and we played a great team. So I give no credit, and they took it to us. Even when we got in the 1st and 10, you know, red zone, they took it to us, and nobody did it to us all year. So I give Brandon his team a lot of credit. We hope to get back to the situation for a different result, but we had to go through it. We never been there before, and it was a great lesson for our team.
Let me ask you a question. Follow up on that question with Coach Truck. Now the team came back them last 2 quarters. A lot of time ran out. I know they probably made a few substitutions, but was you impressed with the fact that your team didn't quit on you?
Absolutely. No, we didn't die. And it was, and I won't say it, but it was one thing I wish I would have did in the first half. And I don't call offensive plays or defensive plays, but they were so sound defensively. You know, if you look at the second play of the second half, we ran a trick play, and then they started playing a lot more base defense, but they were sound in what they did. And so, you know, going back, there's always a lot of things you wish you could have did, but I wrote a lot of notes. And so if we get back to that point this year, there's some things we'll do differently. But like I said, hats off to South Warren. Brandon did a great job, and they kicked our tail. And we'll take it, but we use it as a learning experience. We were all disappointed. The community.
Oh, we lost him.
We lost Coach Johnson, yeah.
I don't know what happened. Something happened.
Can you see me? All right, my
bad. There you go.
Yeah, we thought we had a good game plan, but like I said, they did a good job. But we hope to get back to that point this year.
Now, coming up this year, you know, we got my man Jasper's playing quarterback. Now, I want to say from Little Douglas Dolphins, Jasper, who I seen walk around in practice yesterday, that's a big difference. Yeah, now, what do you expect from him from this year?
Well, I'm just glad his daddy let him free, turned him loose finally. I'm just saying, I'm just finally glad he turned him loose. I was about to ask for your job if he didn't get a chance this year.
No, we got 2 guys. The Nation kid and Jeff just getting off of playing in the EYBL Sam, so he got a little back issue now, so we're trying to get him healthy. So he's probably about a few weeks away. But Jasper and Nation, Andrew Nation, will both get a chance to play. So we got 2 young guys, but they've been in the system 2 years, know what's going on. So we expect big things out of both those guys. They both bring different things. Jasper probably throws the ball a lot more. Nation is a great athlete, as you saw last night, Coach. He can run the ball, really freakish athletic. So we got 2 guys, man, who will take stands. But I'm excited, man. Jasper kind of debated on not playing this year because he's getting a lot of basketball interest and trying to travel to a lot of places to go on some visits and stuff. But he's going to play one more year. I think Man and Aiden them kind of like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? We guys, they hang out all the time. So I asked him the other day, he said, "No, Dad, I'm playing." So this probably be his last year, but you know, I hope he has a good season.
Man, how great is it? You know, you have blessed Skylar had a good career there, and they had Jasper. I heard quiet as kept. He's the best Johnson coming out of these parts. I don't know how true it is, Coach Truck. I heard he's the best Johnson ever. I don't know, but I mean, how special is it?
My father's in the hospital, so keep him in your prayers. But we were and I told him, I said, "Dad, if me and Jasper and our prime was playing basketball, who would win?" He said, "You bigger, but Jasper will kill you." So I said, "Come on, man, come on, Dad, you getting a little too old. You must forget now." But we're proud of him, man. He's done a good job. He's worked his butt off. He's worked extremely hard to get a chance to have some success. And I just told him, man, that the road only gets rougher, so we just got to continue to work hard and stay grounded and put in the work.
Now, man, you've been blessed with some great offensive linemen over the last few years. I mean, dominating offensive linemen.
You ain't seen the hogs he got right now, Coach.
Man, we'll start with Big Dane and all them cats, man. And are you reloaded again?
Yeah, we got some guys that, you know, probably the catalyst is Tristan Cook. He's 6'6", about 305. Play guard and tackle. And I'm gonna tell you, got to look out for my left tackle, Ram Alba, who's my tackle who graduated was a 4-year starter, but Ram could have probably started for 80% of the teams in the state. He's probably 6'4", 285. Bryson Cowan's a left guard, about 6'1", 290. My center about 250. And then my right tackle is Skunk. The defensive end's younger brother, so he's about 6'2", 285. He's an animal. So we got some guys, man. And like I said, I love coaching offensive line. Chuck, you saw him last night, man.
We gonna call him the state foul, coach.
We got some big guys, so we're gonna try to make some holes for Preston and Kenyon Maxbury and those guys. But like I said, man, I just believe it starts up front, man. And so you got to have a solid front. And that's one of our staples of our program, trying to be very physical.
Well, Coach Bill, you got anything else? We don't want to hold Coach Johnson up. We got Coach McKee on deck.
Okay.
I talked to Coach McKee. He said, man, you know, he watched a lot of baseball with you, man.
No, man, Coach McKee spent a lot, 2 or 3 summers together, man.
That's what he said.
I love him, man. He's a good dude. We talked a lot of football. I learned a lot from Coach McKee. Yeah. In those summers, I asked him a lot of football questions, so I got a lot of respect for Coach.
Well, Coach Johnson, man, my hat's off to you and how you got the Woodford County program turn around. Appreciate that gave you time to do it the right way. And you did it the right way. You went and got kids. Like I think 2 years ago, you talked about getting kids in the surrounding neighborhood to come out and stuff like that. So, man, hats off to you for you and your staff for doing it the right way. And, man, sky's the limit for Woodford County.
Appreciate it, man. Hey, come holler at me so I can see that at the bargain, man. We got some fresh swag too, man. I need to get y'all. I got you.
Look, I wouldn't be able to ride with you last year, but remember the year before I was riding with you.
No doubt. No.
To the fan
Chuck was the one, man. I had to talk to Chuck when we played West Jasmine. He went against the house, man. You know.
Always, y'all disrespectful, man. I'm telling you, he ain't got no love for nobody.
He went against the house, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I do want to let you know, West Jasmine, Jacob Jones is like, I want him.
Jacob Jones, but he's a problem, man. I talked to Pookie lives right up the street from me, so we've talked a few times. But Jacob is the truth, man. He's a great athlete, man. He can be a one-man wrecking crew. So we're gonna have some problems in the district. Him, the Goodwin kid from Collins. So it's gonna be a good district.
All right, Coach. Well, we wish you the best luck, man. Keep doing big things.
Appreciate y'all.
Good luck, Coach. Prayers for your dad, man. Prayers for your dad.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What's up?
All right, that was Coach Johnson. Up next, we got our, a show favorite. He's always been with us, gave us good stuff and helped us out. My man, my coach, Coach Jim McKee. Coach McKee.
Am I working here? You all have upgraded away from Zoom and on to whatever this is. This is my first experience, so I'm going to make sure everything's working here and I'm good to go.
Yes, sir. You can turn it down just a little bit so you don't get an echo.
Turn down a little bit. You're not the first person told me that.
Now, Coach McKee, this is what, year 27, something like that? How long has it been here in Scott County?
I've been at Scott County High School. This will be my 26th year as the head coach here, and I was very fortunate to be the head coach at Oldham County High School for 2 years in the fall of 95 and 96, and then I was an assistant coach for 3 years at Montgomery County High School. Appreciate John Rajunas, Paul Raines, the people that were there. Gave me an opportunity to coach there in 92, 93, and 94. So this is my 31st year as a high school football coach.
Wow. Now, one thing I want to point this out. I don't know if it's the split, and you having a lot of younger people. But, Coach, you seem like you make you a little younger, man. It's like you're a little more energy. You're doing I don't want to say more coaching, but, I think you kind of got systemized, and now you're working with a lot more younger players. Coach, you just look energized, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it. People will ask you, it's just human nature. Something I don't really necessarily like but can't control about society is, oftentimes we're always focused on the future. What are we going to do here? And what, we need to focus on the moment because we don't ever get that opportunity back. But, yes, I'm at the point in my career, people will say, how much longer are you going to coach or this or that? Guys, you're going to know how much longer you're going to run this show. You're going to get up one morning and one of you's going to call the other and you're going to say, man, I'm not that fired up about, calling Coach Dennis Johnson and doing that interview. I think I'd rather go do this that night. Well, when that time comes, then you're doing a disservice to the show. So you got to step away from it. And so when that time comes for me where I'm not as excited about being here as I once was, I'll know when that time is. And, your energy there are a lot of 52-year-olds that have a lot more energy than there are 30-year-olds on a football field, just because maybe the 30-year-old's really not dialed in. That's not his passion.
Coach, man, like I said, a great career thus far, a lot of success, beat up on a lot of teams. Coach, the 5A is probably the toughest class there is. Is it fair to say?
Well, who knows? I mean, every year you have a hard time, predicting exactly what's going to happen, and somebody will rise up. You take for example, in the 1990s, if somebody had told you that Louisville Central would win 5 state championships, you would have been like, "Man, Louisville Central's not going to." And then they did, and there was a time Boyle County wasn't. So you don't know. Who's going to be what in any class other than, 6A for so long has just been dominated by Trinity St. X and Male. And, there's just been so few people with a breakthrough there. In terms of 5A, I mean, honestly, I don't know for sure what Covington Catholic has, what Cooper has, what Fort Thomas has. I don't know. I don't follow South Warren to know what they have back. I know they got good players and a good coach. We're going to scrimmage Bowling Green tomorrow, get a little bit better feel there. Owensboro, I know they feel really good about their team, but the runaway favorite's Douglas.
Yeah.
There's no close second when it comes to a roster. And, you guys will look back in 10, 15 years. And, I've said this before, what they've done over there right now from a talent standpoint has never been matched in the city of Lexington and probably never will be. I've said before, don't you think Devin Neal playing the NFL if he doesn't get hurt? Yeager Burton, Walker Parks, Dane Key. They had 4 NFL players in the last couple of years. And their roster this year is stronger than it's ever been. So they're the clear-cut favorite, in my opinion. And then there are a lot of, good people behind that. But here's the thing, guys. It takes a little good fortune to win a championship.
Yeah.
You might have the best team, and it takes a little bit of good fortune. I'll guarantee you this. When we went and we ride and we were talking and this and that, everybody's talking about how much Mail was going to beat St. X last year in the finals.
Yeah.
And, I thought that too. I'd seen Mail on tape and, Chris Wolf and their staff, they do a great job. Of course, I know Coach Bruner, Coach Wallace at St. X, they're great coaches too. But, they turned them over a time or two. They got to stop. The quarterback kid was amazing. And, St. X won. They built Las Vegas, Nevada on betting on who's going to win on Sunday afternoon. So it's going to be hard to say who's really going to win the championships.
Coach, man, go ahead, Bew, if you got some.
You good? Go ahead. You good?
Okay, Coach. Now going into this year, you played a lot of sophomores last year, and you'll be playing a few more this year. What can we expect out of the Scott County team this year?
Well, Teddy Roosevelt once said that, comparison is the greatest thief of joy. And, our job here and what we felt like has always been our job is to try to make this team the best team that it can be. And, we weren't necessarily accustomed to being 6-6 last year, which is what our record was. But we played an extremely challenging schedule. And at the end of the year, even though Douglas beat us handily in the second round of the playoffs, we were playing pretty good football for the team that we had. And sometimes you can have a glossy record and maybe you haven't achieved at the level that you feel like you should and you don't feel as good, or, you don't have a great record, but you really feel good about what you've done in terms of the kids maximizing their potential. I sit and I think about a kid like Andrew Wilhite last year, who was our free safety. He's a three sport kid. He played basketball. He played baseball. His parents went to Scott County High School. His dad's an assistant basketball coach. I think about Jeremy Hamilton. I think of John Thompson, some of the leaders that we had. By the end of the year, at the end of their career last year, they were playing about as good a football as they could play. And so while we would rather not be 6-6, we did a lot of good things. In terms of how good are we going to be this year? I don't know. It's too early. In 2006, we went down to Trinity in our second preseason scrimmage, and it was really, really important to us to do well in terms of the scoreboard. And we actually won the scrimmage. I don't know what the score was, but it was like 20-14. And we were thrilled. I mean, we were thrilled. And, at the late in the year, Trinity won the state championship that year, and we had an early exit from the playoffs. So you got to understand that every situation in your life is a learning opportunity. And whether you win, you got to learn how to coach after you're winning. It's not easy, believe it or not, even if you got really good players and you're 7-0, it's not easy necessarily to keep them grounded and corrected and ready for week 8. And it's an equal challenge if you're 4-4 or 5-3 and getting ready for week 9. So every opportunity is an opportunity to try to grow as a coach and grow as a team, with the ultimate goal being in November in the playoffs that you're playing your very best football.
Now, Coach, let me ask you. I haven't got a chance to put a schedule up. I don't have it in front of me on my phone. How important is it still to schedule those tough games that you normally schedule every year when you go to Ohio and play? Bringing a Louisville school every year. How important is it to still have those games on your schedule with an already tough district?
Well, I think the coach cliche thing to say is that, you want a tough schedule. You want to get ready for the playoff. It's a very fine line. A lot of times our schedule is just simply a reflection of that's the only people that we can get to play. And it's too tough. When you look at our schedule this year, I mean, it's
Franklin
almost
County,
too tough. I mean, we open up with Franklin County. I really feel like Coach Johnson's doing a great job at Dunbar. We come back with them in week 3. Then we play actually we have Station the third game. Coach Hawkins and JT and those guys are doing a really good job. Then we play Dunbar. Then we play Douglas. Then we finish up on the back end with Ballard and Lexington Catholic. And so, it's really tough. And I'm really proud of our players last year in that, we were able to keep banging and keep battling. We missed a short 20-some yard field goal on the last play of the game to beat Catholic, and we lost 41-40. And it's not easy to get back up off the mat on that. So I think it's a real fine line to answer your question. You absolutely need to be tested, but you also – there's a balance there. So, I'm hoping when we're going to realign in December, on November 16th, the classifications will come out, who's in what class. And then, in January, your districts will be established, and we'll see what our district looks like and, what teams stayed 5A, what teams went 4A, what teams came in, what went up. And then, it wouldn't bother me if we scaled it back a little. Now one more thing, when we were at our height of enrollment, we have about 600 boys now. So we've got roughly 100 kids out for football, 9 through 12. We still keep our freshmen completely separate. But even when we were at our height of enrollment, we had about 12 to 1,300 boys, and we would have about 140 to 50 players. So we had about 10% of the male population out, a little bit more. We got about 600 now. So, our actual percentage of the males that are playing is up a little bit. But now when we were at the height of our enrollment, that was fun to play at Moeller, at Elder, at LaSalle, at Male. I mean, that is fun. It's an opportunity where, hold on one second. Sorry, guys. We got some guys coming in getting some uniforms for pictures. My bad.
That's all right, Coach.
I didn't know this was live. I mean, hopefully y'all can edit still. I mean, I'm not
we live,
Coach. Out all over YouTube right now.
We are live.
But that was fun to play at Elder. I'll still remember that. I'll drive through Cincinnati to a Reds game this summer, and I was like, now, people I was with, I said, turn right over here where we played Moeller, and right down there, that's where he played Elder. So that was some neat stuff. And actually, I think, has anybody beaten a GCL team? Have any public schools in Kentucky beaten a GCL team besides Fort Thomas Highlands and us?
Hold
I mean,
on.
if they
Let's
have, I'm
bring
not sure.
on
The
our
privates have.
expert. Hold on. Let's bring on our expert and see. Jared,
I'm-
can you answer that question?
I'm not going to know that. No, I'm not
Oh,
going to
okay.
know that.
I
I know
figured
Trinity and St. X play them quite a bit, so they might have gotten them here and there. But public school, nah.
Okay.
I think Coach McKee has it there. The Highlands and him are probably it in the public realm.
All right, Coach.
But somebody out there will correct us, I'm sure.
Now, Coach, y'all got the scrimmage. You got the scrimmage against Bowling Green. First of all, when you go into your first scrimmage, what are you looking to do, and what are you wanting to see out of your team in this first scrimmage?
Well, I mean, as you grow, and maybe not grow, is not the right word, but as you change as a coach, your priorities change. We're going to go. We already have all the plays scripted for tomorrow night's scrimmage at Bowling Green. So, we have the touches scripted. We might come off the script one time if it's 3rd and 1 and run quarterback sneak. But it's not important. And I'll actually tell the kids this, and some people would cringe, but there is no winner and loser in tomorrow night's scrimmage at Bowling Green in terms of the scoreboard, at least not in my mind. We've got to figure out who's going to play this certain position. Is Jared Peck going to be the tight end, or is Jim McKee going to be the tight end? Now, Peck, we know I got him beat out easy. We're using that as an example. But, so we've got to get those guys on film. We've got to script the reps of who's going to play X number of snaps in a certain position so that we've got all that on film and we can immediately, go and start evaluating that. And today was the last preseason practice for us. That we'll change the way we practice on Monday and we'll enter into a season mode. And so when we do that, we'll treat our scrimmage next Friday with Louisville Central more like a game. But right now it's just the approach is you got to get a look at your people. And then obviously the X factor in football is you got to come, you want to try to come out of it as healthy as possible. You have an obligation to the young men that are out there, to construct your drills in the safest possible manner. You just think about this. I mean, if you're Jared Peck and your son's out there, I'm not saying that injuries, they're going to happen. They're inevitable. But you want to feel good that his coaching staff is doing everything it can to keep him safe in the preseason. These kids work a lot. Our guys lift weights 5 days a week in weightlifting class year round. And so we need to get them to Friday nights. So that's another thing that, my coaches will know that as soon as I get a feel tomorrow night of that I feel where I want to feel in terms of where we are, I'm going to get the starters out.
Coach, man, I know a kid has been in the program for a long time. He played mostly defense, I believe. Logan Jones, is he going to see a little bit of offense? What are your expectations for him and any other young man you expect big things out of this year?
Well, the first thing would be, every kid in our program is important. And it's tough sometimes when you start to individualize and talk about single kids, because that was something that helped me a lot as a coach once my son started playing. I said that I would never buy, for example, when my oldest son started playing baseball, I think it was the very first sport he played. I was just going to get him an average bat. By the time he was 8, I had him the best bat and had him practicing off the tee, trying to hit home runs. And, when they got to youth league football, I'm out there trying to find them a Speed Flex helmet. So you always have to keep in mind that every kid is important. But, Logan did a lot of good things for us last year in the secondary, and that's where he'll be this year to start the year is in the secondary. And our job for Logan and for every kid is to find the button to push on that kid to maximize it. You got to understand, kids are different. I use this example a lot with Cade, my youngest son. and I can't remember if Jared, I think Josh Moore was still covering high school sports when Cade pitched. But, Cade was a bulldog high school pitcher. He was as good a high school pitcher as there was. I think his career record was a whole lot of wins and not very many losses against a whole bunch of people. But he was an 83, 84 mile an hour lefty. All right, an 83, 4 mile an hour lefty. He could have played for St. X, Scott County, or it doesn't matter. He's not going to pitch in the SEC. So what Cade has to do is how can he be the best version of himself? And so that's our challenge for Logan and every other kid. Help them be the best version of themselves. And, Logan's uncle, Coach McIntyre, has been with our program for 25 years. He coached in the youth league my very first year, and I actually met the guy at a high school basketball game, and I realized quick that this guy needs to be on our staff. He's as a respected man as there is in Georgetown, and so we appreciate him. And then, guys, I'm so blessed that Clay's on our staff. I get to coach with my oldest son. And if you'd have told me 5 years ago that Scott County football would have a TikTok account, I don't even know what TikTok is. I don't have a TikTok. But I understand if you check out our TikTok, we've got the hottest TikTok going. All right. So, Clay has really brought a new energy to our program, and he's going to do an absolutely great job. Jalen Menifee's young. He's up coaching our offensive line this year. And, of course, Scott Willard, Mike Davis, Aaron Hall, Coach Maston, Chris Travis. I don't want to leave anybody out, but, we were out practicing last night and it was late. And, that's something that's really neat about here. Whether we were 6-6 or whether we're 12-2, football still really means a lot to these kids. And it means a lot to this town and this community.
All right, Jared, you got anything else for Coach McKee before we let him go?
Yeah, I'm going to see him in a couple of weeks when he takes on Bryan Station. So
Okay.
probably. We'll see.
Right.
I don't know which games I'm coming to yet, but that might be one of them.
Hey, Coach Bew, you got anything else for my man, Coach McKee?
Man, I love having Coach McKee on, especially when he's giving you a hard time. That's why he's one of my favorite coaches right there. It gives you a hard time. Did you hear him keep saying we when he talked to Woodford County coach? He ain't said we one time about Scott County, has he?
No. And I love Coach Johnson. He and I have been friends for a long time. I have a lot of respect for his dad. They had a great season last year. But Dennis and I have talked. We know if this year or next year they slip down a little bit, that truck's off the bandwagon. Dennis just plays along to get a good laugh, but he knows what the facts are.
Truck's
one
off the
bad year,
bandwagon on
one
the first
500.
loss.
Where was he when
loss.
Woodford County wasn't as good? He's like, well, now my man Coach Johnson over there at Woodford County, he's got to get it going. He's not doing big things. And now he's got him made out to be Vince Lombardi.
Well said,
guys,
Coach.
I appreciate being on. Jared, look forward to working with you and all the things that you do for high school athletes. Jared's in a little bit of the same situation that a coach is. A journalist is a tough deal. In 1995, we had an undefeated regular season at Oldham County, and Mike Fields did all the high school sports for the Lexington Herald Leader. Of course, Oldham County's Metro Louisville. My grandmother's huge football fan. My grandfather was a really good player for the Cynthiana Bulldogs in the 20s. And, my grandmother passed, and she lived to be 98 years old. She passed in 2010. So this was, 95, 15. She's 83, 84. Handwritten letter to Mike Fields because he's not giving enough coverage to the Oldham County Colonels. So, Jared, you got to do like a coach, man. You just got to do your best and let the chips fall. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Jared, man.
Hey.
We got a scrimmage day tomorrow. What kind of, fill us in? What's your plans for scrimmage day?
Well, I'm not certain yet. We got a good one. I think we have Lexcath at Douglas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Bryan Station, maybe LCA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might take in one or two of those, but I'm still, cranking out content for next week. The important thing about the Douglas scrimmage and maybe even the other one is that they're accepting donations for flood relief in Eastern Kentucky. And I just left, LCA's media day, and they were loading up the helmets that they clean and the equipment that they've cleaned for Breathitt County, and for them to have it back. They picked it all up last week, covered in mud, brought it back to Lexington and cleaned it off. And our Cam Drummond has a story on that, and has a story about how the Eastern Kentucky schools are trying to get their seasons going and as best they can, even though some of their players' lives and their families' lives have been ripped apart by the flood. They're still trying to play football. I think Breathitt County and a couple, maybe another school, are going to be practicing at EKU over the next few days just to have a practice field.
Man, how big is it to see when something goes bad here that everybody steps up, in the high school sports and just in general? How big is that?
It's huge. I mean, it's a big community. Boyle County's coach, he played for Breathitt. He was organizing donations. We've got soccer teams in town who are having competitions. Bryan Station, I think, and Henry Clay and Lafayette, and another one are having a little competition for their fans to make donations. And kind of like the old blood drive thing that UK and Tennessee did. Who gets the most donations for whatever. So it's not just football. I mean, all the sporting community is rallying around Eastern Kentucky. So it's great.
All right. Now, Jared, have you done it? I know you've done a little bit of, we just now kind of getting out and seeing some of the schools. Has anybody kind of, just piqued your interest so far that you've seen so far?
Well, next week I've got all my top 10s coming out. I've surveyed. I ask everybody to do a survey. There's 223 teams. I have 170 surveys back. I haven't read them all yet, but I've read 60 of them because those are how many top 10s I've got. 10 for each class. So it's really going to be interesting whether Pikeville can repeat with Birchfield back. In 2A, we're going to have another. It looks like Beechwood and LCA again.
LCA.
Beechwood just got Antonio Robinson from out of state. He was going to maybe go to Highlands, and now he's, the last couple of days it's broken that he's going to Beechwood, and he's a big-time defensive player going to Wake Forest. LCA got Cutter Bowley. Cutter Bowley really is 6'6". I just saw him. He's a big dude. The LCA was second in the 7-on-7 at EKU last week with Bowley throwing. They were second to Highlands. Dunbar showed out at the EKU 7-on-7. Dunbar's pretty good. They might be in our top 10 next week. But Bryan Station's going to be good.
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass is going to be Frederick Douglass. Franklin County should contend again, but you can't. Boyle County's got a ton coming back, and they've got Sage Dawson probably at quarterback. Big time players. There are big time players everywhere, and it's just going to be exciting to get this thing started. I don't need to start it right yet, but starting next week, Monday, Class A comes out. Tuesday, Class 2A comes out. So it's all going to start rolling up, and I got a top 100 players list in the state. With all the college commits and all that stuff. We're going to have that. Top Central Kentucky players. I got some content coming. I've been busy.
I see that.
You
picked up some more grade, too.
Well,
you done passed me, Jared.
That's all right. But
that's bad.
I've been busy the last few weeks. I've actually gone to every school and so in town because the 9 city teams is what I'm able to do. And, I think Sayre is going to have to be figuring out how to live without Cole Pennington this year. His little brother Luke is going to be throwing this year, and he's not quite as tall as Cole is yet. And then it's just going to be exciting because there's a lot of good football teams in Lexington and Central Kentucky for me to go see. There's too many for me to see. I can't see everybody, so I got some hard decisions ahead. What games am I going to go to? I know I'm going to the Bryan Station Douglass game.
Yes, sir. Week 1. Yes, sir.
19. What colors you wearing, Truck?
I don't know, but we're going to have to put on the show.
Hey, listen.
I'm wearing neutral colors.
Listen here. He ain't got to wear nothing. We know where his heart lies at, so he ain't got to wear nothing. He can go in there. I don't care if you go butt naked. We don't want him on the Bryan Station side.
All I'm saying is heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Let me ask you
what crown? What are we talking about?
Hey, anybody got a crown right now?
City champ.
Region crown, city champ, yeah, city champ.
In your top 100 list, which will be coming out soon, Greg. So make sure y'all follow Jared Peck on Twitter and on Facebook. Let me ask you, how do you have Preston Stacy in there as one of your? We just talked to Dennis Jobs. Preston Stacy, one of the backs, one of the players on that list.
We can't put him on the spot. You gotta wait till it comes out.
You ain't got to reveal it.
He had 1,600 yards last year.
Do you feel like he's one of the best players?
I think he's one of the most overlooked players in the state. For sure. I can't tell you for certain whether he's on my 100 list because I don't have it in front of me. It feels like it's hard for me to leave him out of that list because of the accomplishments he had. But he's going to be in the Central Kentucky list for sure. And then that's a definite. But yeah, Preston Stacy, there's a couple of dudes on there that have offers. I don't know what offers Preston Stacy has right now. I know there are a couple other dudes on that team like Aiden Nelson and Mikey Smith who've drawn recruiting interest, and it'll all work out. He's going to play somewhere. But we'll just, you put me on the spot with that. So
yeah,
I don't know if I can confirm that or not. I'm going to have to go back into my list.
Well, you know what? You ain't got to tell us this, but I know my guy. He's got a few offers. I think BK Damon Green from Bryan State. I know my guy's got to be. You ain't got to say if he's on or not.
Look, man, leave the man listen on, man.
No. You ain't got a name on your list, but I mean, are you impressed with what he's done so far, and you expect a big year out of him?
Well, there's a lot of guys at Bryan Station that are getting a lot of looks, and I expect Bryan Station to be improved this year. You probably talked to Coach Hawkins earlier, but he feels really good about his team. I mean, he's got that operation running. They played Douglas really close last year, and were just, had a couple of bad turnovers in the second half. They kind of killed that game. They feel better about themselves, but nobody's got the talent that Douglas has. Nobody's got the talent that Douglas has, and it's just a matter of whether Douglas. The defense, they have a D1 line at Douglas. They have a D1 secondary across the board at Douglas. So that's a lot to wrap your head around. I mean, there have been teams that have smacked him in the mouth. Boyle County wasn't scared of Douglas. And the key for Bryan Station is, do they come in knowing that they can compete with them? And then do they compete with them? So I think that they believe they can compete. But it's like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. So I think Bryan Station, their schedule to start out is ridiculous. It's, Douglas, Boyle County, Scott County. That's a lot to chew off. And I know Coach Hawkins says, is like, well, these are the games we got to play. If we're going to be the team we want to be, we've got to play these games. You talked about with Coach McKee. And it's like, do you schedule hard or do you not schedule hard? It's like, well, if you want to see what the level is, you better play the teams that are playing at the level you think you need to play at. And Bryan Station is certainly doing that. They've got to get over that playoff hump that they've hit these last couple of years. But I expect them to be another winning record season and be really good. And the same with Dunbar. I mean, Dunbar's got a lot going on for itself, got a lot of playmakers. Coach Wes Johnson definitely knows what he's doing. He didn't turn that program on a dime for nothing. He didn't quite turn it as quick as Coach Hawkins did, but he got them pointed in the right direction and got them a regional championship over Bryan Station a couple of years ago. So we know that those two guys can coach. We got new blood at Tates Creek, even though Coach Hawks has been around for a while. New blood at Lafayette with Coach Lawson, and he's got better numbers out this year. He's got some multi-sport athletes coming out this year playing that didn't play football before. So it's going to be interesting to see what Lafayette does and how fast they can get that turned around. It's a tough schedule to go through the city these days. But there's a lot of good stuff going on. I really cannot wait for the season to get started. It's going to be fun.
Well, that's a great way to bring this to a conclusion. Coach B, you got anything else to share? We ran a little long.
Yeah, one more thing before we go. I get Jerry. I got to add those. Man, what are your? This is. I mean, y'all have this. What are you thinking about LCA this year? What are you expecting out of them? I mean, you briefly spoke about it, but you see a repeat performance of the last 2 years.
I think LCA can make it to Kroger Field. They're probably, they have some questions to answer at linebacker and safety because they're replacing, Mason Moore. That's a big hole to fill. But Xavier Brown, who's going to step into that role and be the playmaker for them? Drew Nevis is back. Drew Nevis is not throwing the football anymore. He's going to be receiving the football. He could run. He was a weapon. He was a weapon when he pulled the ball down too. So now he's going to be out in the patterns receiving. We'll see fairly early. I mean, LCA's schedule is also they're going to Madison Central to start. If they play Madison Central as tough as they played them last year, and they really felt like I think they won that game, but didn't play their best game. They were kind of off. Now they're going to have to play their best game against Madison Central now because Madison Central knows what they're doing now. They didn't really know what they're doing the first week of the season last year. They certainly figured it out by the end, though. They stood toe-to-toe with St. X for 2 quarters. I think LCA has got the horses to get through their district. Now that the playoffs are different, they might run into a little different quirk in the second round than they had before. But they can certainly make a run back to Kroger Field. I mean, I expect them to be there, but they do too. So that's not saying a whole lot.
All right. Well, I want to remind we actually had a taped interview with Great Cross's coach Ricky Boland. Because we ran long, I'm going to place it on a separate feed. Thank you, everybody. Coach Bill, you got anything else? You close us out?
Man, thanks, Jared Peck, once again for joining us, man. Like I said, let them know they can find you at.
I'm at Kentucky.com. I'm at HL Preps on Twitter. And doesn't cost much to subscribe for a digital subscription. Get on there and get it, guys, because we got a ton of content, high school and UK coming.
All right, man. As always, you should be a living donor. I'm Coach Bew. My man, Coach TB on assignment. My guy, Jared Peck with the cool Kango. Coach Truck, anything else?
Peace.